The finale of The Summer I Turned Pretty Season 3 doesn't just close a chapter, it forces us to face the messy, beautiful truth about growing up, first love, and the choices that shape who we become. The last episode leaves us with a mix of heartbreak and hope, showing that sometimes endings aren't clean, and sometimes love means learning how to let go. Episode 10 begins with tension running through every scene. Belly stands at the center of it all, torn between two people who have been part of her life for as long as she can remember. For most of the season, she has been pulled into different directions: Conrad, the first boy she ever loved, and Jeremiah, the boy who has always been there when she needed someone the most. By the time we reach the finale, it feels like every quiet moment, every argument, and every unspoken word has led us here. The episode carefully builds on the emotions we've been watching all season. Belly's relationship with Jeremiah has grown stronger, full of warmth, comfort, and a sense of new beginnings. At the same time, Conrad's presence has been harder to ignore. Even when he tries to step back, his feelings for Belly are written in his expressions, in his silences, and in the way he struggles to let her go. The triangle finally comes to a point, and episode 10 refuses to give us an easy answer. We see the characters preparing for what feels like the end of a summer and the end of an era. The house, the memories, the laughter they once shared, it all feels heavier in this final chapter. Every conversation carries the weight of unspoken history, reminding us that this story has always been about more than romance. It's about family, loss, and the way time changes people. Laurel's presence is a quiet anchor in the finale, reminding Belly and the boys that love can be complicated but still worth fighting for. The tension reaches its peak when Belly is finally forced to confront her own feelings. She has spent the season trying to figure out not just who she loves more, but who she is when she's with each of them. With Jeremiah, she feels safe and wanted. With Conrad, she feels alive, but also vulnerable, because their connection has always carried both joy and pain. The finale captures this perfectly, showing her torn between a love that feels steady and a love that feels impossible to forget. Episode 10 doesn't shy away from showing us the heartbreak that comes with choice. No matter what Belly decides, someone will be left hurting, and that pain is written in every moment of the episode. Conrad tries to hold on to his calm, but we see the cracks when he looks at Belly. Jeremiah, though full of confidence on the outside, shows hints of fear underneath, knowing that the bond between Belly and Conrad might never fully disappear. Belly herself is visibly struggling, because deep down she knows that her choice will change everything forever. But the finale isn't just about love. It's about endings. The summer house, once a place of magic, has now become a place of bittersweet memories. Every goodbye feels heavier, every look lasts longer, and the story makes it clear that this summer marks a turning point in all of their lives. The past and future collide in episode 10, leaving us with the sense that nothing will ever be the same again. By the time the episode closes, we're left with an ending that feels both heartbreaking and inevitable. It's not just about who Belly chooses, it's about how that choice reflects her growth. The finale tells us that growing up means making decisions that hurt, that love is as much about loss as it is about joy, and that sometimes the people we love the most are the hardest ones to let go of. The final moments of episode 10 arrive with a quiet intensity. There's no dramatic music swelling too soon, no grand speeches that solve everything in a neat bow. Instead, the ending unfolds almost like real life, slow, messy, and honest. Belly finds herself standing between the two people who have defined her summers, and the weight of that choice lingers in the air. This is not just about choosing between Conrad and Jeremiah. It's about choosing what kind of love she wants, what kind of future she sees for herself, and whether she's finally ready to step out of the girl she once was and into the woman she is becoming. The scene begins with a stillness that contrasts with the chaos of the earlier moments. Belly is reflective, and in her silence, we can sense that she knows there is no going back after this. Conrad stands a little apart, carrying the familiar look he has worn all season, guarded but vulnerable. his love for Belly has never been. Something he could easily say out loud, but in the way he watches her, it's as if every unspoken word is sitting right there on his lips. Jeremiah, on the other hand, is all warmth and openness. He doesn't hide what he feels, his eyes are steady on Belly, his voice clear when he tells her how much he wants to be with her. The contrast between the brothers has never been sharper, and the show makes sure we feel the pull in both directions as Belly stands caught between them. The camera lingers on small details, the hesitation in her breath, the way her hands tremble, slightly the heavy pauses between words. These tiny choices matter because they mirror the uncertainty so many people feel when faced with love that isn't simple. She knows that no matter what she says, someone will walk away hurt, and that truth makes the moment feel almost unbearable. The finale doesn't rush this decision. Instead, it lets us sit in Belly's discomfort, making us realize that her struggle isn't just about romance. It's about identity. When Belly finally speaks, her words carry the weight of an entire journey. She admits that her feelings are complicated, layered, and that she has spent too long running from the truth. The honesty of this moment makes the ending hit harder because it isn't portrayed as a fairy tale. It's portrayed as real life, where choosing love also means choosing heartbreak. Her choice feels less like a declaration and more like an acceptance of who she is and who she cannot be anymore. Conrad's reaction is perhaps the most heartbreaking. He doesn't fight, not the way we might expect. Instead, he absorbs her decision with the quiet kind of pain that only someone who has loved deeply can understand. The look in his eyes tells us everything that he knew this moment was coming. That he hoped against hope that she would choose him, but that he also loves her enough to let her go. It's one of the most devastating aspects of the finale because it shows us how maturity often means holding your love silently without demanding it be returned. Jeremiah's reaction is different, but no less emotional. His relief is mixed, with a vulnerability that makes the scene resonate. He doesn't celebrate loudly, doesn't rush to claim victory. Instead, he steps into the choice with care, understanding that Belly's decision is heavy and that the bond she shares with Conrad will never disappear. The tenderness in this moment highlights why Jeremiah has always been the softer choice, the one who wears his heart on his sleeve, the one who makes Belly feel safe. The brilliance of this ending lies in its subtlety. Instead of telling us what to feel, the show lets the silence, the long looks, and the pauses speak louder than any dialogue. The summer house in the background acts like a character itself, haunted by memories, echoing with laughter that now feels far away. The setting reinforces the theme that this summer, like all summers, must eventually end. And in that ending, something must be left behind. By the final shot, the show doesn't offer us a perfect happily ever after. Instead, it gives us something more powerful, closure wrapped in uncertainty. Belly's choice doesn't erase the past, it doesn't fix every broken piece, and it doesn't guarantee that the future will be simple. What it does is show us that she's ready to step into a new chapter, knowing full well that love will always carry risk. And that's why the ending feels so authentic. It reminds us that growing up doesn't mean finding the perfect path, but rather finding the courage to walk the one we choose, even when it hurts. The ending scene is not about tying a bow around the love triangle. It's about showing that love is not a competition to be won, but a reflection of who we are at different stages of life. Belly, Conrad, and Jeremiah will always be tied together by the summers they shared, but this moment proves that even the strongest bonds can change. The season closes on that truth, leaving viewers with a mix of heartbreak and hope. Heartbreak for what was lost, hope for what still lies ahead. At the heart of the finale lies not just a choice, but three people who are forever changed by it. The ending isn't only about Belly making a decision, it's about how that decision reflects the journey of each character. By looking closely at Belly, Conrad, and Jeremiah, we see how love, loss, and time have shaped them into who they are at this final point. Belly's journey. For Belly, this moment is the culmination of everything she has endured since the first season. She began as the girl who lived for summers, who measured her happiness in beach days, pool parties, and fleeting kisses. But by the end of this season, she is no longer just that girl. Her decision in episode 10 is proof that she has grown into someone who understands that love cannot stay suspended in an endless summer. It must survive the real world. Belly's choice is not simply about who makes her heart race faster. It is about who allows her to be herself without losing her balance. Her strength in the finale comes not from certainty, but from honesty. She admits to herself and to both brothers that she cannot keep avoiding the truth. Choosing Jeremiah shows that she has learned to value steadiness, loyalty, and the kind of love that doesn't demand, but offers. Yet, what makes Belly compelling is that she does not erase Conrad from her heart. She acknowledges that what she felt for him was real, and perhaps always will be, but she no longer wants to live in a cycle of pain and longing. This honesty is what makes Belly's growth feel authentic. She doesn't choose based on fantasy. She chooses based on who she is becoming. Conrad's journey, Conrad's arc in the finale is quietly devastating. He begins the series as the boy who seemed untouchable, the one who carried his emotions like a shield. By the time we reach episode 10, that shield has cracked. The loss of his mother, the fear of letting people close, and the inability to say what he feels until it's too late. All of this comes crashing down in the finale. Watching Belly choose Jeremiah is a wound, but what defines Conrad's growth is how he responds. He doesn't lash out. He doesn't guilt Belly. Instead, he lets her go. This choice shows us the maturity Conrad has been struggling to find. For perhaps the first time, he understands that loving someone doesn't mean holding onto them no matter the cost. Sometimes it means stepping aside so they can be happy even if it breaks you. His final expression in the ending scene captures this perfectly. Quiet heartbreak mixed with dignity. He remains the tragic figure, the one who loved too deeply, but spoke too late. And yet there's a strange beauty in that role. Conrad's character reminds us that not all love stories end with possession. Some end with letting go. And those endings can be just as powerful. Jeremiah's journey, Jeremiah's arc is softer but equally important. Throughout the series, he has often been seen as the safe choice, the brother who wears his heart on his sleeve and never makes Belly question whether she is wanted. In the finale, his steadiness is what wins him the chance to be with her. But more than that, Jeremiah's character teaches us about vulnerability. He risks everything by being open with Belly, by saying the things Conrad couldn't say, and by refusing to hide his feelings. The ending shows Jeremiah not as the winner of some love triangle, but as someone who was brave enough to stand fully in his love. His relief when Belly chooses him is quiet and careful, because he knows how much pain lingers in the space between the three of them. Jeremiah's maturity shines here, too. He doesn't celebrate loudly because he understands the fragility of the moment. His love is not about claiming Belly, it's about protecting the bond they now share and proving that he is ready to walk beside her as she steps into adulthood. The brothers' relationship, the most overlooked but deeply moving part of the ending, is how Conrad and Jeremiah's relationship shifts. The love triangle has always been about Belly, but it has also been about the bond between two brothers who have had to navigate grief, rivalry, and unspoken resentment. In the finale, there is no big reconciliation, but there is an unspoken understanding. Conrad's silence and Jeremiah's caution show that they both know this choice will change their relationship forever. The tragedy is that love has pulled them apart, yet the love they share for Belly is also what keeps them tied. The bigger picture taken together, the finale paints a portrait of three young people at a crossroads. Belly learns that love means making painful choices. Conrad learns that love sometimes means stepping back. Jeremiah learns that love requires vulnerability and patience. Each character ends the episode with scars, but those scars are proof of their growth. None of them leave untouched, but none of them are unchanged either. And that is why the character analysis at the ending feels so unique. It's not about a winner or a loser. It's about three people learning different truths about love, each truth valid in its own way. Belly is not the girl she was in season 1. Conrad is no longer the boy who could hide behind silence. Jeremiah is not just the sunshine brother in the background. Each of them has evolved, and the ending scene is their mirror, reflecting who they are now and hinting at who they will become next. What makes the finale of the Summer I Turned Pretty Season 3 Episode 10 so powerful is not just the dialogue or the decisions, but the way it weaves symbolism and recurring themes into every corner of the story. Beneath the love triangle and the emotional confessions lies a carefully layered exploration of memory, transformation, and the inevitability of endings. By breaking down the symbols and motifs, we begin to see that this is not just a story about who Belly loves, it's a story about growing up, holding on, and learning how to let go. The summer house as a symbol of childhood from the very first season, the summer house has been more than a setting. It has been a character, a living memory bank that holds laughter, grief, first kisses, and countless secrets. In the finale, its presence looms larger than ever. The house is about to be sold, and this impending loss mirrors the emotional crossroads the characters face. Just as they must say goodbye to the house that shaped their childhood, Belly must say goodbye to the version of herself who lived only for those summers. The creaky floors, the faded walls, and the scent of sunscreen and sea air, they all represent innocence. And the finale forces everyone to accept that innocence cannot last forever. The house becomes a physical reminder that time moves forward. Whether we are ready or not, the ocean as transformation, the beach and ocean have always been central in the series, representing freedom and escape. In episode 10, the ocean takes on a deeper meaning. It becomes a symbol of transformation. Just like the tides that never stay still, Belly's emotions shift and evolve. She cannot hold the ocean still, and she cannot freeze herself in the past either. The water becomes a mirror for her internal struggle, the desire to stay in the safety of what she knows and the pull to dive into something uncertain. By the finale, the ocean reflects the truth that change is natural, that life is about moving forward even when we long for the shore we've left behind. Light and darkness as emotional contrast throughout the final episode. The use of light and shadow quietly reinforces the mood. Scenes with Jeremiah often feel bathed in warmth, echoing his role as the brother who provides comfort and reassurance. Scenes with Conrad, however, tend to carry heavier shadows, emphasizing his complexity, his grief, and his tendency to retreat into silence. Belly stands in between these worlds, torn between the glow of safety and the ache of intensity. This visual symbolism underscores the theme that love is not black and white, it lives in the shades between light and darkness. The theme of choice and consequence, perhaps the most powerful theme in the finale, is the reality of choice. For 3 seasons, Belly has been caught in the tension of indecision, trying to navigate her feelings without fully committing. Episode 10 forces her to finally act, and in doing so, it shows us that every choice carries a cost. Choosing Jeremiah means breaking Conrad's heart. Choosing Conrad would have meant risking Jeremiah's trust. Not choosing at all would have been its own form of cruelty. The finale makes it clear that growing up is about understanding that no path is painless. The theme of choice resonates with viewers because it mirrors real life. Every step forward requires leaving something behind. Music and nostalgia as emotional anchors. Music has always played a huge role in the series, guiding viewers into the emotional core of each scene. In the finale, the song choices carry heavy nostalgia, echoing earlier moments from past seasons. These callbacks remind us that we are not just watching a single summer and we are watching a cycle complete itself. The music becomes a thread that ties Belly's childhood to her present, showing that while people grow, the memories of where they began will always linger. This theme of nostalgia is bittersweet because it celebrates what was beautiful while acknowledging it can never fully return. Love as both healing and wounding. The most universal theme in episode 10 is love itself, not the glittery, perfect, kind, but the messy, complicated version that hurts as much as it heals. Belly's decision highlights that love is not about avoiding pain, but about deciding whose pain you are willing to endure and whose joy you want to share. For Conrad, love means letting go. For Jeremiah, love means being vulnerable. For Belly, love means choosing a path forward, even if it means leaving behind a piece of her heart. This theme makes the ending resonate because it strips love of its fantasy and shows it as something deeply human. The summer as a metaphor for youth. Finally, the most consistent symbol throughout the series, the summer itself reaches its full meaning in the finale. Summer has always stood for youth, freedom, and the dreamlike feeling of being untouchable. But summer must always end, and with it comes the bittersweet truth that growing up means accepting change. The final episode closes the door on an endless summer, reminding viewers that every stage of life has its own season, and part of maturing is learning to welcome the next one.